Now that we're at the cusp of 2026, I'm reminded of the best client campaign that I ever ran, the most successful campaign. And I'm going to explain it to you here because you can use this and it's really good right now on the cusp of a new year. And I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so this was a content campaign. We ran it from Meta. So it was mostly Facebook at that time. And we had created an article on the client's site that was a pure content article because that's my background. I love good content. And so, hey, nothing's changed in my career. It's like 25 years later, content's still critically important. So what we did was we wrote an article. We had a professional writer. This was in the financial space. We wrote an article on the top ways. I'm trying to remember the exact title. It was related to the alternative ways to generate wealth. So this was for a wealthy audience who was like high net worth individuals looking for ways to beat the market with alternative investing strategies. So my client had an alternative investing product, of course. And so what we did was we wrote, it was for whatever year it was, the best alternative investing strategies for this year. And then we wrote, and the article was really good. And it talked about all these different and it wasn't like a fluff article. You see these like fake content pieces that are just trash. You don't even want to read them because they're garbage. This was really good. And it talked about each of the other things that had nothing to do with my client in great detail and it was convincing. And my client's space, not their product, their space was mentioned. So what they did was one of the 5. And because of the quality of the article, we got a lot of people. It was a very sticky page. People read the page, they stayed on it for a while, and it performed really well because it was the equivalent of a high quality financial article on a site like Forbes or whatever. The real part of Forbes, not the fake part where you buy yourself in, by the way. But anyway, so that worked really well. That client generated there was 1 month, the guy called me and he's like, we generated $30 million in sales from that Meta campaign. And I was like, that was a good January. And that was my high water mark. It continues to be to this day, 30 million in sales in 1 month based on that article and the traffic we drove from it. Now, why did this work? Okay, because you would think people are like, well, I don't want to drive somebody, I'm going to pay for all these clicks and drive somebody to some article that not only doesn't mention us, but mentions like other competing things that other people might do other than our product. But here's the thing. When people read it, they're going to see that product, in this case, it was an alternative investment strategy. They see that it's like good and they're learning about it along with a lot of other people for the first time because one of the issues for them was awareness. People aren't even aware it's like a thing. So we mentioned some other things. But when you get to that, you all of a sudden look back and you're like, oh, hey, look what website I'm on. The website is all about that product and is going to lead them to more content that's going to bring them deeper into the rabbit hole about that product. Okay, and so that's what happened is people aren't silly. And of course we put it in the sidebars, it's in the footer, but we didn't overdo it. We didn't want them to feel like this is really key for this to work, is they have to actually continue to feel like they're on a real content page. And you cannot hammer them. It's a soft shoe dance. You cannot hammer them over the head with about your product and have a pop up. You can't be overly aggressive. People have to feel like they're figuring it out. And that is an art form. That's part of the art of marketing, right? These are the art things. It's like, get them there, get them close, but let them figure out the rest so they feel like they did it. They didn't feel like you were shoving it down their throats. And that's a little bit easier said than done, but it is doable. So it's a strategy that I continue to use to this day. I continue to feel that it's a great strategy to try and worthy of your looking into for 2026.